The highly secure real estate of stinging and enemy tentacles is home to the famous clownfish. They live in tightly knit, hierarchical family groups on the coral reef. Familiar to scuba divers and well-known stars of the big screen. Even though the male is smaller than the female, his role is one of protection. But good as his guarding abilities are, he can't prevent this. That barracuda just took Mum. What happens next never happened to Nemo. If the female dies, the male experiences a life change. His sexual organs stop working, and previously dormant inside his body start to produce eggs. Remarkably, he's about to take the female's place. But who'll fill his shoes? This family is full of surprises. One of the juveniles turns into an adult male. He grows exactly 20%, and so do the rest of the family. Each of the fish in this family hierarchy is 20% smaller than the fish ranked above it, and 20% bigger than the fish below. So with a vacancy at the head of the family, each will climb a rung on the clownfish ladder. But if they miss their mark and overshoot the 20%, they're immediately kicked out of the family and enemy. So the sexual makeup of the group remains constant, and no valuable breeding time is wasted. Clownfish can change sex to fill a vacuum, which is extraordinary, but some life forms have even more sexual freedom. The fruits of certain fig trees become infested with tiny parasitic insects, just a few millimeters long, called thrips. They lay their eggs on the tree, and although they're very small, they're sufficient for rearing an entirely separate family, that of another parasite called the thrips egg mite. And their sexual behavior is truly bizarre. When a pregnant egg mite finds an egg, she clamps onto the shell and drinks its contents. This is valuable nourishment for her offspring, who are already beginning to grow inside her. First to hatch is the male. Then things start to get really weird. Inside his mother's womb, he inseminates all his sisters. And believe it or not, this is his one and only mission in life. Once he's had all of them, he dies before being born. After their early sexual experience, his sisters, unlike normal bugs, don't hatch as larvae. They start to eat through their mother's belly, emerging to crawl away and find a thrips egg of their own. Then the whole process starts again. Incest normally creates problems because recessive genes make offspring vulnerable to disease. So how come insects like these mites get away with it? It's all down to their fantastic genetic systems, which lack recessive genes. After the break, wild sex reaches a shocking climax as we explore what could be the most deviant sexual behavior of all. In nature, we've seen there are no rules that limit the sexes to male and female, or that preordain their sexual roles. There are species where males can become females, others where there are no males at all, and some where creatures can be both at the same time. The natural world is also full of sexual activity where offspring are impossible. Homosexuality, masturbation, unseasonal, and underage sex. But all this sex must have a purpose. Most animals are juggling energy resources to eat, reproduce, and survive. It seems even the most bizarre sex should benefit the creatures involved. But in all this exotic array of sexual practices, there is one indulgence that is definitely unusual: monogamy. As a mating practice, monogamy is so rare that some scientists wonder whether it is possible at all. Could it be the only truly deviant behavior? Once upon a time, biologists believed there were lots of creatures living in wedded bliss. But then came the 1980s. Paternity testing and genetics had come a long way, and with them the revelation that around 90% of bird species we thought were faithful lifelong partners were not, and nor were numerous other creatures who seemed to practice monogamy. Among those who remained in domestic bliss were jackdaws, chinstrap penguins, long-eared owls, Kirk's dik-dik, some termites, mongoose, geese, and jackals. And a few were genuinely impressive. Black vultures pair up in nests, built well away from their neighbours. Even when they could stray from their partners, tempted perhaps by a quick peck during a chance encounter over the carcass, they never do. Black vultures are strict monogamists. They even keep their sex lives private. It's something to be done out of sight, in the comfort of the nest. There are true monogamists in nature, but it's a small and diverse group, and they appear to have little in common, apart from their loyalty. So what makes them choose monogamy as a sexual strategy? Probably because it's the best way for both males and females to reproduce. The partnership can have more surviving children than separate individuals would. Some believe fidelity is rare because it's seldom in the interest of either individual, let alone both, to be faithful. If that's true, why did monogamy evolve? One theory says it's to do with mate guarding, and the evidence is good. Not all monogamous males play much of a paternal role or help to rear the young. The male dik-dik sticks closely by his mate. However, he doesn't actually help her to look after the family. In fact, he doesn't even seem to be any good at warning them of danger. If a predator approaches, baby dik-diks react only to their mother's alarm cries. However, the male dik-dik always knows that his mate will be there when he needs her. And there are other very good reasons for creatures to pair up and stick together. To keep you in a relationship, there's nothing like the prospect of mutually assured destruction. In many species of hornbill, male and female are completely dependent on each other for the survival of their brood and their genes. At the start of the breeding cycle, she climbs into the nest hole and the entrance is sealed so that only her beak pokes out. The male feeds her while she lays her eggs and incubates them. Once they hatch, He brings food for the whole family. Their survival depends entirely on him, and his genetic future on them. We still don't understand many of the mechanisms behind monogamy, but it does work. To us, it's normal. To the vast majority of creatures, it's deviant behavior. So until monogamy becomes useful for more species, it will remain one of the most unusual sexual strategies in the world of wild sex.